Americus, welcome. Unpack this for me, because it seems like Elon Musk still has the same Twitter account he had before, even if he owns it, but he has a lot more troubles. You say no?
Well, I think that it's a great question, and it's an important point, John, because what's going on here is that people don't often realize that the brand building exercise requires a lot of money, and it requires control of the messaging mechanisms that allow you to actually put your positioning out there and to communicate with people that might be interested in what you have to offer. And so from my perspective, this is simply the idea that you have the power to, first of all, have this direct sort of messaging platform into 100 million people, which has been obviously the only way that Tesla has communicated any sort of advertising. There's no advertising, it's all word of mouth. And so the power of this platform just in that domain is super important. But think about now the notion of being able to control that platform in various ways that might allow you to more creatively articulate not only your own messaging, but what goes on in terms of the entire ecosystem of the messaging platform itself. So in my view, it's super smart because, number one, he likes the platform anyway, and he's on it a lot. He has a lot of power, and this is how he messages and talks directly to his fans. And this is a way to continue to have that control, to be able to tightly be able to shape the perception of not only the markets, but how individual consumers and other clients that might want to do business with Elon perceive him and his brand.
I hear that, Americus, but this also raises that adage for me: why buy the cow when you can have the milk for free? He was already the probably the most prolific major tweeter on the platform for free, and now he's got the exposure of being among that group that gets called before Congress, that's getting wrangled by the EU about various platform decisions and its impact on geopolitics. Does that present some risks as well?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. I think 100% there's risk, but there's always a risk with Elon, right? So the idea that, yeah, you don't want to necessarily pay for the cow, but if you can do something really creative with the cow that can give you more than just the milk, then that makes sense. And so from that perspective, we always know that Elon is very much in these conversations of geopolitical sorts of analyses and other kinds of world events, foreign policy events, but that's part of his brand. And being able to have sort of control of his platform and to invest in it and signal to people that not only is it an important sort of aspect, but I have creative ideas that I might figure out how to leverage the platform to integrate within the context of the communication initiatives across all my companies is something that we have not seen yet. And it's in his mind. That's the thing. We don't see what he's thinking with respect to these things because they seem really willy-nilly. They seem sort of go, no go. But there's absolutely a strategic chess sort of playing strategy that's going on here. And I think Elon is really working on 4, 5, 6, 7 steps down the line. What am I going to be able to do with this platform once I have control over the brand itself, but also integrating it into the various aspects of my own businesses?
And being in a period where there's pressure on platforms to shrink, not grow. And number two, what about instances where he does speak his mind, as he did on Ukraine this week, and gets basically owned by half of the Western world?
Well, but this is the beautiful thing about it, Carl. I think that getting owned is part of the brand. So what he's trying to do here is essentially say, listen, I can be that's what his whole persona is: innovation, provocative, unpredictability, and it seems sort of random, but there's a sort of behind all this chaos. There's a sort of strategy behind it. And so, yes, he steps in it from time to time, but that actually is a signal to the marketplace of his authenticity. And so having these sort of little bumps and sort of places in the road where things go a little bit sideways, that's part of the mystique. That's part of the connection to people that say, like, I'm kind of like that. I'm a little bit weird and quirky and all of these kinds of things. And so that creates this connection that suddenly makes you feel like, I believe I have a relationship with this man, and therefore I'm going to follow him and his vision throughout the future.